the way this show works is basically a partnership between Breeo and a local company called Halteman Meats. And how it works is we pick up a meat, we don't know what it is, in a cooler from Halteman Meats, take it to a location where we have a fire pit set up, standard spices, standard utensils, open up the package, and whatever's in there, I have to cook. Thank you much. I'm excited to see what you got.
Enjoy.
Today's location is a cabin owned by my partner and Breeo's dad. It's Amos's dad. I've never been here, but I hear it's great. It's got a creek, I think, nearby. So we're going to set up and we're going to do this episode at this little cabin in the southern part of Lancaster County, down near Holtwood, PA. So here is the moment of truth. We've got the cooler with the mystery meat inside, and we're about to find out what Halteman Meats saddled us with today. So we got a nice package, got some heft to it. Let's transfer it over to the cutting board here. All right, so this is the very first time that I've opened this, as you can see by the nice twine and the packaging here. So I don't know what is in here, but whatever it is, we're gonna cook it on the fire pit, and I'm sure it'll be delicious. So we'll start by getting this twine cut, flip it over. I'm guessing by the feel that it's gonna be some kind of steak, but we'll see if I'm right. Oh boy, I was wrong. It looks like it is a rack of lamb. So that is quite the piece of meat right there. If you look at it, you can see that from the size of the half racks there, it's definitely a smaller critter, and I believe it would be lamb. What I'm going to do with this is you can cook this whole, you can cook this as lamb chops. I'm actually going to cut these into lamb chops, and I'm actually going to cook them around the Breeo on the stainless part, actually. But this is going to be a really tasty feast. I'm looking forward to see how they cook. They're going to cook fast because it's a fairly thin cut once you cut between these ribs. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut between the ribs, and then I'm going to season them. I'm going to season one rack one way, the other rack another way, and that way we can compare and see the differences between the two. All right, so first step is turn this rack of lamb into lamb chops. All right, so we're going to start by cutting each of these into an individual lamb chop, and then we'll go ahead and season them. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to keep as even as I can on either side of the bone, so that the bone is exactly in the center of the chop, and there's even spacing either side, so that it matches all of its neighbors, and that way they cook at the same speed, the same rate. Because when you're cooking on a fire pit that might be 1500 degrees, it's really important that you're watching your temperature, because it's such a high temperature that your meat will cook at a very fast pace. So you want the meat thickness as consistent as possible. All right, so a rack of lamb is now lamb chops. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and season half of them one way, and I'm going to season the other half a different way. So the first half, I'm just going to go really basic, salt and pepper, that's it. So we can really just get the lamb flavor and contrast that with something a little more complex for the next set. So I'm just going to lay these out here. The ones on the left here, I'm going to use this Spiceology Chipotle Garlic Rub from my buddy Derek Wolf. he's been cooking that with that a bunch, and I've been kind of dying to try it myself. So even though it's not necessarily something you would expect on lamb, I'm gonna try it out just because I do have these as well, and I really can't wait to try this garlic chipotle. So I'm gonna go a little light because they're not very large pieces of meat, and they're fairly thin. So we're just gonna go with a little bit of this chipotle garlic rub on either side. All right, so we're all seasoned, and we're gonna be ready to go on the grill. So I'm gonna throw these things on all the way around the double flame. I'm gonna add some oil first so that they don't stick, and then we're gonna see how it goes. So I'm pulling off some of the thinner cut ones because they're cooking faster, obviously, than the thick ones. And I'm kind of monitoring the temperatures all the way around to try to plate them as they hit like 125, 130-ish. And then we'll let them rest for about 8 minutes, and then we'll cut them. All right, moment of truth. Gonna flip my dirty cutting board upside down, grab a clean knife, and we're gonna try cutting into a couple of these and see how they look, and then see how they taste. So we got a medium, this one at least turned out about medium. It's not perfectly consistent rim to rim, but you got some nice red in the middle, and we're gonna give it a try. All right, I think that that turned out just great. Maybe a little bit more rare, but I think some of the thicker pieces might be that way. I'm gonna kind of get a sampling. I'm gonna cut through and show you a couple of the different ones. This is the salt and pepper. So now I'm gonna try chipotle garlic ones and see how that compares. So once again, medium. This one's even closer to well, but still some nice red texture, or just red color in the middle there. So we're gonna give this guy a try as well. That's really good too. There's definitely a difference of the seasonings between the salt and pepper and the chipotle garlic. I'm gonna have to eat more until I know which one I like better. All right, that concludes this episode of Mystery Meat. It was lamb chops. It came as a rack, and we cut them down to chops, cooked them on the rim around the Breeo, and seasoned them with salt and pepper for half of them, and then chipotle garlic rub for the other half. So that pretty much wraps it up.